Enigma, Georgia, was a dead end. The courthouse had been built square in the middle of Highway 229, where it stopped abruptly on the edge of Big Harrican Swamp like a cut ribbon. From the window of the cell on the north side of the courthouse, Willoughby Booker T. Hull could see the whole town. He swayed gently, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. Behind him, on a wooden table, a plate of peas was congealing in a gauze of pork fat. 2 biscuits lay at the side of the plate. There was a slop bucket in one corner of the cell, and above it, at eye level, a sheet of tablet paper on which someone had written in pencil the regulations of the LeBeau County Jail. Willoughby Booker T., in the breathless heat of the cell, swung before the brilliant square of window light like the pendulum of a clock. There was no sound except the steady drone of flies, stuck and sticking on the gummy edge of the plate behind him. The sun was in the west, dividing the street between shadow and light. At the far end of town, where Highway 229 burst free into the flat, burning countryside, a mule was hitched in the sparse shade of a chinaberry tree. It was asleep under a wooden saddle, and blood-fat flies swarmed languidly over it. On the sun side of the street, a 1948 Buick with a foxtail on the aerial and a Go Navy sticker in the rear window was parked in front of Marvin's Drugs, which was also the United States Post Office, where a flag hung from an aluminum pole. The Buick was the only car in the street. It had not rained in 2 months. Willoughby Booker T. rocked on, half-dazed and lost in a kind of sleep, watching not the farmers or their hitched mules, but rather the tan canvas banner with red, white, and blue lettering that stretched across the street. Anchored at one end to Harvey's Seed Store, and at the other end to Enigma Funeral Parlor, the banner read, "Welcome home, Gospel Singer." Even though Willoughby Booker T. was a preacher of the gospel, with huge pieces of scripture memorized, he could not read. But he knew, just as every living soul in Enigma knew, the gospel singer was coming home. They had prepared for it, looked forward to it, prayed for it. An unabated hunger raged in the whole town for the sight and the sound and, God willing, the touch of the gospel singer, who had single-handedly focused the attention of the world on Enigma, Georgia. The gospel singer had given their lives purpose and meaning, simply because they could say, "I come from the town where the gospel singer was born," or, "I known him when he weren't nothing but a boy." Willoughby had watched the gospel singer time after time on the month's television that he had bought in Albany, Georgia, and brought home on the back of a turpentine wagon and set up in his cabin. Now, the gospel singer was coming home again. He would be here, he would, in this very Enigma. He was going to walk again in that fine, tall, blonde body. A body so fine and tall and blonde that it insulted the clothes that covered it, no matter how expensive and tailored the clothing was. And of course, the clothing had become more and more expensive as the gospel singer had gone from the television studio in Albany to the one in Tallahassee, to the one in Atlanta, to the one in Memphis, to the one, finally, in New York City. When Willoughby Booker T. turned on that month's television, and the gospel singer's voice slipped out into his cabin, it was balm poured into a wound. Nothing mattered. The world dropped down a great big hole. Everything, whether it was a razor cut or a tar-scalded eye, or a burning case of clap off a Tifton high yellow whore, everything quit but that voice. And it went in his head and down his flesh to where his soul slept. And he could stand whatever it was for another week. The white folks talked of nothing else. In the fields, chopping cotton or breaking corn, or sitting on the bench in front of Enigma Bank whittling tobacco plugs and spitting between their feet. The gospel singer was never far from them.